would you like to actually start discussing family members? Choice is yours. But we'll probably talk about both, so I'm going to be on here for at least an hour. Um, so we got family members. So basically, the topic is going to be how to deal with difficult family members. And I'm pretty sure that in every family, there's always that one person that you have a hard time getting along with. You just cannot stand being around them, but you have to be because, of course, they are family, they are blood. And even if you are in a relationship with somebody, you actually have the spouse's family members, and there's always that one that you just tend to avoid. So I guess with me, I have actually a lot of that. Um, but the way I deal with it is really you just do what you have to do. It's almost like being the better person when you're getting together on events or something. They know you don't like them. I know I don't like them, so instead of having confrontation or whatever, the best kind of thing that I've always dealt with was to just enjoy yourself when you go to those events or anything, whether it be, you go into Christmas and you're just enjoying each other's company, acknowledge them, say hello, be the better person, and I guarantee you, my biggest thing is always kill them with kindness, because if they really hate you as much as they say they do, or they just cannot get along with you, they cannot stand that they cannot push the right buttons on you. And I don't know if any of you out there have had similar situations like that, but I know I definitely do. And every time I have a gathering, and for one example, there was actually um, with my boyfriend's family, it's his sister-in-law, and I just cannot stand her. She's very rude to everybody, and she likes to say her opinion, and she doesn't care if she hurts people's feelings. And when you leave the room, that's when she'll start talking about you. So I just have very less respect for her as an individual. But I'm there. I'm very nice, when I see her and everything. Basically, I'll give her a hug and everything and ask her how she's doing. But she knows that I don't like her. I don't like, she doesn't like me as well. But the thing is, you don't want to ruin a nice event, like that, just because you both don't share similar interests or you can't agree on anything. So, what are your thoughts on that situation? And feel free to comment, ask questions, anything that you want to do. This is for you guys. This is basically anybody that can chat. If you actually want to get on here and be a co and start chatting back and forth, I mean, that's fine too. You can actually answer some of the questions as well. Okay, one question we have here is how can you repair damage when most of your family hates you because of a couple things you have done or who you are? A great question, and I can kind of relate to that a little bit. There's a lot of things that's happened in my past that I just don't think that, regardless of what you say, you can ever change, because when you lose the trust or anything in that situation, it's gone. You can try to repair it. I've actually had some situations in where, like I said, I will be in a room with someone, but those feelings will never change because they're there. And as much as you try, I mean, you can do the right thing, but the thing is, basically, you just need to be who you are as a person. Um, there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with what you say or do, and a lot of it has to, especially with family members. I know with parents, definitely. Parents always have a visual idea of how you should live your life, and who you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to do. And if you get out of that track just an inch, they look at you a different way. You know, and a lot of it, for me, I'm gay, so I think with my mom, she probably looks at me a little bit differently, maybe realizing that, hey, she's not going to have any grandchildren from me, or, and I don't really know what's her thoughts on that. But basically, you just got to do what you have to do, and live your life. Don't try to live someone else's life. Don't try to be someone that you're not. Don't change who you are as an individual, because when you do that, that's when you're going to stop the enjoyment. You're going to stop living life to the fullest, because you're always going to worry about, pleasing that person. Am I doing what they want to do? And I don't really think you can repair it. Once something's lost, it's lost. So, does that answer your question? Good. Um, but on that note, with repairing something, there are some things that you can repair. Sometimes a lot of basically everything is communication. And, we always think that somebody thinks something different, and we assume things so much. So that can be a lot of where there's a lot of miscommunication. And, when you actually sit down and have that one-on-one conversation about probably what made you upset in the first place, you could basically resolve it. There are some instances where you can't. Once it's done, it's done. But definitely, do voice your opinion. If you're having some issues with some people, go ahead and have a conversation and just get it out there. Now, they could probably realize, hey, it wasn't that situation that really made me upset. It was this. And just by that little open communication, you probably could solve a nice relationship with your family member. So definitely go ahead and take care of that situation. And if it doesn't work out, at least you tried everything that you can do to resolve the situation. But take chances and do what you have to do, because life's too short out there to be miserable. Life's definitely too short to live somebody else's life. I say do what you have to do, be happy, and put a smile on your face. Um, Basically, also, the one thing I want to talk about on relationships is we actually, family relationships, definitely. I know with me, um, I haven't been very close to my parents as well. And for me, I was pretty much raised by my grandparents. And to me, that was my mom and my dad. So that can kind of be a sticky situation, because if you have parents, they kind of resent that, you look towards your grandparents a little bit more than you do. And I know definitely it has became some issues in my family. Hello, everybody that is joining. Welcome to the channel. If you guys have any questions at all, definitely ask. Right now, we're talking about how to deal with family members that we have issues with, and we're actually going to talk about relationships as well. So if you have any questions at all, definitely ask. And if you want to, there is a website that's actually right here that you can click to. It is my personal website for people helping people, and you can get some great information out there as well. And the website is www.thomashughes.com, and it's a great site to join. A lot of good feedback, stories, quotes, and anything, just to kind of help you get through a hard day, or if you had a bad day, you can actually go in there at the end of the day and actually get some empowering messages to actually make you have a great day. But it's basically definitely just people being people and helping each other, because all it takes is to help one person, and it does make a difference, and everybody can make a difference in this world. My name is Thomas, and so hence the Thomas views. I'm just basically sharing my views with you guys. They might be right, they might be wrong, but it's just my opinions on things, and I just like to listen to your guys' feedback as well. Alright, here's a question. Why do I have to be the bigger person in the relationship? Can't the other family member be the bigger person? Um, that's a good question, and yeah, I totally agree. And why does it always have to be you that makes the first step into trying to solve something? But the thing is, not everybody's the same, and if you really want things to work out, sometimes you do have to be the bigger person. I would love, for one day my mom to call me up and say, hey, I'm really sorry about this, but I know realistically that's never going to happen. So for me to have some kind of communication and to resolve it from going from years and years of kind of drama, I need to be the bigger person, actually step up to the plate and maybe say I'm sorry myself, and eventually sometimes that will actually open it up a little bit and you will get more feedback from that. But if you wait, you could wait forever and nothing happens. So definitely sometimes you got to be the bigger person. And there's really nothing wrong for being the bigger person. And a lot of people, it's really hard that people have to say I'm sorry. That's like the biggest word that people have the most biggest issue of saying. And and then there's some who say it but they never mean it. So if you're really sorry about something, don't feel embarrassed or anything. Just go up to somebody and say you apologize for something that you might have done. Be the big person and admit when you're wrong. Admit when you make some mistakes. It's okay um, to say I'm sorry. And I know I've learned that in the past that I've had my pride to where I always thought I was right, and I would just never say I was sorry. And eventually, I just realized as growing up that you do have to say those words, especially when you know that you're wrong. Um, say what you have to say. Great question. Okay, how do you deal with a family member, including a brother, that cannot accept your sexuality? Um, Wow, that is a good question because with me, I don't really have that situation. We've never had that conversation. I have a sister and a brother, and they both accept me for who I am, but I don't really think they truly understand. So they kind of have a little distance there. But, regardless, if there's a family member that loves you and cares about you, no matter what, they're going to accept you for whoever you are as a person. And sexuality is not really something that defines you. It's just your preference of who you want to be with. It doesn't change who you are as a person. It does not change who you are, if you're a kind person that loves to draw, and it's not going to change that. If your parents see how you are about donating your time to help charities and everything, what does it really matter if you're gay or a lesbian or bisexual or even straight? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't change who you are as a person. And I think that we really need to stop looking at people as who they are, interested in it, if it's a guy or a girl or whatever, and really focus on the major importance of the world of what we're going through. I mean, look at the economy now. The economy is really bad. People are losing their jobs. I mean, there's wars, there's, so much crime, but we worry about who this person's sleeping with. Who cares? That's me. I just don't care. We're going to go back. I missed a question. Is what strength can you draw from when you get tired to deal with family members or crap? Um, Always have a person that you can talk to. Have some great friends around you, and if you have some great friends, um, they're your support. I have a few friends that I have that I really would trust with my whole entire life. And with that, if I have some issues with my family members or something, it's always good to be able to talk to these people that are close to you and, just kind of vent things out because sometimes you might not be able to solve a situation, but in the end, you know that there's people out there that care about you no matter what. And believe me, I might not have a very good bonding with my family members, but my friends I consider so much my family, and they push me in the right direction, and without them I don't know where I would be right now. So I value my friends more than my family, and I know probably some of you can relate that. Let's see. We have a question if I am single. No, I do have a boyfriend. So I've been with my boyfriend for 7 years now, and I enjoy every minute with him. So I'm sorry. How do you deal with the constant barrage of you can change or society made you this way? I really have not gotten into too much because I'm not really, I'm out. Like right now, I'm talking to you. I don't have a problem saying I'm gay. If somebody asks me, I don't have a problem at all. But I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, guess what? I'm gay, by the way. Because it's like, okay, do you see people out there that say, hey, I'm straight? I mean, there are some out there, but it's like, in a workplace or something, if people know, or they probably have their ideas that you are or not, but I'm not going to sit there and have a conversation about, hey, guess what, everybody, I'm gay, and just kind of exploit it out there. If somebody wants to ask me, that's fine. There is actually no one that has actually said that to me, but if somebody was to say you could change who you are, or society has made you this way, I don't really think you can change who you are as a person. What you are interested in is you're interested in. I mean, everybody has their likes and dislikes about people. When somebody says, okay, hey, what turns you on? And you're like, oh, I love this person because of this. Well, that's kind of one of the situations. You're not going to change who you are as a person. Um, you have the feelings that you have, and it's not right or wrong. I mean, what it is what it is. And how people want to say that, hey, you're going to hell or whatever. You know, you're just living your life. I mean, that's basically it. You're living your life. You're trying to be happy. And I think what it is if there's a lot of jealousy out there, and basically, that jealousy is when they find people that actually are happy, and especially if it's different and they're happy, they're so upset that these people are actually happy that they try to make them unhappy. And by them saying that, you're going to hell, or, you're not part of the community, or, you're so different, and they want to outcast you. I mean, it's just jealousy because they can't have that, and probably secretly they are, and they just don't know how to express themselves. All right, let me go back. I'm kind of missing some of the chat, and I don't want to miss any of you guys' questions. You guys are asking some amazing questions. Okay, so we're actually going to talk about we're actually going through and we're going to talk about some relationships and having great relationships. We talked about family members, and for those of you who are joining, definitely welcome to the channel. Again, if you want to, you can actually, it's over here, you can actually go to www.thomasviews.com. That is my own website, and it's basically people helping people. And what we do there is, if you're having a bad day or anything, just read the entries. There's some forums, there's actually chats, there's videos on there that you can actually do and listen to and inspire you to move forward. But definitely check it out if you have an opportunity, because anything that we can do to make ourselves have a better day is awesome. I know I've had some horrible days, and in the end I just kind of go back to some of the website that people are posting some stuff, and sorry about that. But going through, at the end of the day, I'll have a bad day, and I'll just go on my website and read some things that people are actually posting, and it actually makes my day a little bit better, and I'm able to post some stuff for other people to read. So it's basically just people helping people. So definitely go through there, and if you have an opportunity, subscribe to it, become a member, and put down anything that you want to do to help each other, because a lot of time we actually think that people always say something if they're having a bad day, and they're like, well, probably already somebody talked to them, and honestly, no one has talked to these people at all, so they're just going through with a bad day. So, take the chance and tell somebody, hey, you want to talk about something, or, give them some good feedback, because it will actually brighten their day, and you can make a difference. Yes, I am gay. Ben second. We talked about that a few minutes ago. Um, they probably were on a mission. Um, but on relationships, I'm going to actually go to, I'm going to actually talk about relationships and there's good relationships and bad relationships. And with relationships, you have to decide on, especially if it's bad, when do you end a relationship? And that is very tricky. And I really don't try to give advice for that, because unless you are in that person's shoes, you're really just hearing their point of view, and you always want to say, well, this is what I would do in your situation. But the thing is, they might be leaving out some details, and maybe just telling you the worst scenarios. So you don't really want to give some person an advice about, well, I would just leave this person, because you don't really know 100% what's going on. You don't know what they're dealing with every day. They might be basically just telling you bits and pieces. So be cautious when you give a friend some advice. If they come up to you and say, hey, my boyfriend or girlfriend, and I are just not hitting it off. I can't stand them because of this. And always we want to say, hey, there's better fish in the sea, go find someone else. There's too many people out there to make you happy, which is totally true. But sometimes you do have to deal with the good and bad. I mean, there's going to be some bad days in a relationship and good days. And I'm not saying that someone needs to, hit you or abuse you and you just deal with it. But if you get into a little argument about, say maybe dinner or something, and it's over something petty, but you just want to voice your both opinions, sometimes, you're going to get into some arguments. Um, Okay, we got one that said, I live 4 hours away from my family, and my brothers never call me to even see if I'm alive. Got tired of calling them. And I totally agree. My family, basically, I only see my family once, maybe twice a year, because I moved here from Florida to Georgia. And the thing is, I always say the phone works both ways. A lot of my friends will say, well, you should call your mom and stuff. And I look at it as, I agree, but, she should be able to pick up the phone as well and give me a holler and just say, hey, just to acknowledge that I'm still alive here. So I totally can understand, not having them call, and you always have to call. But, again, if you want to continue having that close relationship, some things you got to do that you might not normally do. Um, so you are going to move actually 18 hours away. So I could just imagine if you are 4 hours away and you're not even alive now, how it's going to be when you move 18 hours away. Um, Honestly, my mom was actually 4 houses down from me, and she didn't even acknowledge I was there. I mean, so it was very funny how you can be so close yet so distant. So I can kind of totally relate to what you're saying. And, it does hurt that you don't have that family support as you would want in your life. There are some families that are so close, and I think it's so awesome that they're so close together and they do so much together. But sometimes if you're not close and you know that you're never going to be close, you got to live your life. You've got to do what you have to do and continue to move on and forward. Because if you don't, you're never going to succeed. You're never going to do what you want to do because you're always worried about your family or whatever. And, like I said, I love my family to death. I wouldn't trade them for anything, but, I'm not going to put my life on hold, and try to rekindle a relationship that might never be there, and all of a sudden 5, 10, 15 years go down and be like, okay, I could have done something with my life. So definitely, rekindle what you have to rekindle, but if it doesn't happen, then definitely go ahead and move on and move forward. Does anybody have any other questions at all? But I guess we'll go back to relationships. I know we went back to family members, but we'll go back to relationships again. And how to stay within a good relationship. The best thing is to always have communication. If you lose that communication with any relationship, is pretty much doomed. If you have, I know a lot of times where, if you're in a relationship, you're kind of afraid to talk to your spouse, and maybe because of your feelings or whatever. And if you get to that point, you're always going to hold back of what you want to say. And I think that's an awful thing that you can actually do, because when you stop that communication, it just ends up getting worse and worse. And instead of communicating with your spouse, you've actually isolated yourself to where you can't express yourself. One will express yourself, but the other one tends to kind of not say as much, or they'll say a little bit and then they'll back down the rest of the way. But remember, we allow ourselves, everything we do, basically, we allow it to happen. And at one point, if you say something and somebody actually goes through and oversteps their boundaries, and you don't voice your opinion about it, then you're basically drawing another line to where a person has to cross. And eventually that line keeps going backwards and backwards, to eventually you're like, oh my gosh, this relationship is so horrible. How did it end up getting like this? Because you allowed it to happen. You didn't express, when something bothered you, you did not express it. And if it gets to that point, then, you see a lot of them, disappearing and say, hey, I just want to end this relationship because we're just two complete opposite people. And that's okay too. But, definitely express yourself to who you are. The thing is, and I'm very for marriage. I would never get married for myself. To me, a paper doesn't mean anything to me at all. A ring does not mean anything to me at all. It's basically how you treat each other. If you're in a relationship, you are in love with each other. You are one person. So the thing is, when you start saying I, it is basically out of your vocabulary. It is no longer I, it is we. And a lot of times, when you get to that point into a relationship and you start getting married or whatever, as soon as the marriage hits, I always see a lot of relationships, turn around. And and I just look at it like, oh my gosh, 3 weeks ago you guys were so in love, and now you got married 2 months later, you're fighting back and forth, and it's like they want to control you. It's like one person has control over the other one, and that's not what it's meant for be. It's basically, you guys are getting married because you want to spend the rest of your life with each other, and you want to enjoy each other's company. Definitely welcome everybody that is coming to the channel. Thank you guys. If you have any questions or comments, we're actually talking about two topics right now, relationships, and also how to deal with family members that we kind of dislike, or treat us differently. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them as much as possible. I'm trying to follow the chat room, so if I miss your question, I do apologize. Re-ask it, and maybe I'll get it. Okay, one said that their parents were together from 1970 and got married in 1997. Lasted 2 years. So there you go. That's a prime example. Because when you're in love with somebody, it's just an amazing feeling to be in love with somebody. I mean, you get butterflies. You don't know what to say. You're always putting your best, foot forward. You spend hours in front of the mirror getting ready for a date. And I just think that's an amazing thing. And it's like, it dies down somehow. It's like when you start going through, after a few months, you don't care about how your hair looks. You don't care how you're dressing. You don't care how you're talking to the individual. And I don't know, it's funny how people are like that, and to me, if you have that love interest, it should stay with you all the time, not just, okay, here's the first couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden, now the real person's coming out, and you're actually seeing red flags everywhere. So, it, love is a very complicated thing, and it's really hard to talk about, and I hope I'm giving you some kind of good opinions, some views on this, because I don't know. I've been there, done that, moved on, and even with my relationship with my boyfriend, we've been together 7 years, and I will tell you, I will be honest with you, we are totally, completely opposite. And but the thing is,